It's 2 days away from yet another opportunity for the New Orleans Saints to tell the naysayers to take a hike. How many will they score this week? 30, 40, 50? There's no question, though, that this is their toughest test of the year to date, as Super Bowl possibles don't laugh. The Philadelphia Eagles come to the Dome on Sunday. Our Friday friend Larry Holder, the Athletic, is back, and we ask him what the keys of the game are for both sides. Who does he think will win? Not what I think, although I will tell you what I think. If you heard yesterday, you already know. And also, we'll ask his opinion of the top NFL games of the weekend. All of this is coming up next on a fun-filled Dattitude podcast.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, New Orleans? Hello to my friends elsewhere, everywhere, out there. We're biting their nails and counting down to Sunday. Sorry, dude, you still got 48 hours to go. But just 2 seconds until the start of Dattitude, episode number 282, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Friday, September the 20th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Derry. Whether you're watching on any of our NOLA.com social media channels, hopefully on Dattitude's YouTube page, but wherever you're watching, we thank you. Maybe you're listening to the podcast after the fact. We thank you for being a part of the Dattitude family, as many have become in the past couple of weeks. Now, we have our regulars from a long time ago. We have our regulars from when we did the Bayou Bet show. We have our regulars that joined us like around March, and then those of you that joined us in the past couple of weeks. Doesn't matter. We love you all the same. We play no favorites here at Dattitude. You know how to be a part of the show. Again, whether it's your first show or your 282nd, doesn't make a difference. Whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, we ask if you haven't, just type in your comments, by the way. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our YouTube page. Access to shows, short takes. We also have TikToks on YouTube, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. J. Derry at theadvocate.com is my email address, and on X, I am Jim Derry Jr. All right, let's get into it this morning. What we got going on? Dylan, coming into week 3 with some Dattitude. Always, baby. Rocky is getting my crow. I don't want crow stew, dude. I'm not going to look. If I'm going to eat crow, I want it on the po' boy with Louisiana hot sauce. All right. PBM, what you talking about? Oh, the Jackson 5. You're not talking about Derek Carr's little MJ dance, are you? That he got fined 14. I had some friends making fun of it was a big deal. He got fined $14,000. I mean, $14,000 Derek Carr is like me and you going to Walmart and buying some Pringles. He gives a damn. Not upset about it. It doesn't bother me at all. Gabe says he got fined, but the NFL official media pages posted it. Exactly. I mean, they were posting it. Everybody posted it. Get out of here. Oh, okay. Here you go. PBM says the Jackson 5 is Carr. Kamara takes some Olave and Sheed. All right. They want to start their own band. They can do whatever they want. David Bordelon serving up Larry a huge portion of hum. Why are you going to give Larry a humble pie? He didn't say anything. He hadn't been on the show in 2 weeks. What did he do? I mean, he said the Saints would win, 7 or 8 games? They've only won 2. Don't give anybody any humble pie until their final predictions come true. He didn't predict the Saints-Cowboys game. You want to give me humble pie, go ahead. I wouldn't be messing with karma. You know what happens when you mess with karma. A-Town. Good morning. Miss Derry is doing better Not great. Me, no comment. If I ain't here Monday, you'll know why. We're just going to leave it like that. I'd be lying if I told you I felt great. We'll just leave it at that. I hope I'm here Monday. I hope I'm in the dome on Sunday. 50-50. Larry Tank Gibson. Who dat from Raleigh, North Carolina? How about them Tar Heels? Oh, I guess is Raleigh. That's Duke country, huh? What am I? I don't know. Tell me, what is it, Gabe? Duke? I forget. I used to know all the cities by heart when I was on the NC State. Duke is Durham. See, I used to, when I was on a desk, I knew them all. I knew even like the little ones, the little babies of the world. I knew them all. I can't remember them anymore. Philip Green, Saints playing at home. We blew out the Cowboys in their building. The Eagles are stellar in defense, and we are at home. How are we not going to blow them out? Dude, come on, man. So, what was it Casey Kasem used to say? Keep your head in the clouds, but keep your feet on the ground, or whatever it was. Keep reaching for the stars. That's what he used to say. Brian, hope the wife is feeling better. She's feeling she felt good enough to at least, when I went to get my coffee this morning, she was still sleeping or so thought. I came home without anything for her. She was enough to get mad at me and actually get herself up, get out, get herself something to drink, and come back and go back to bed. So that's definitely better than yesterday. Philip also talking about no A.J. Brown, Marshawn back. Dude, it's the NFL, man. Not getting too fired up. All right, Larry's going to be coming in a minute, so let me tell you real quick about our friends, and then we're going to come back to this real quick. This is going to be a shorter, I can tell you right now, this is not going to be an hour and 20-minute show today. Promise you. This is going to be like a 45-minute, maybe 50-minute show. I'm actually, as I sit here now, supposed to broadcast Shaw and Holy Cross tonight for VSN. I'm going to do my damnedest. Let's leave it at that. Before we get to Larry, before we get into anything else, let me remind you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they are a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that is you, or someone who is near and dear to your heart, have them reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemel. They will maximize the value of your family-owned and privately held business. They do that by scheduling a complimentary valuation. By the way, you know this already, but I'll tell you again. Some of you don't know. A lot of you are new. We got a lot of new people here. Nick and Ron both grew up in New Orleans, and after some time at big-time business schools, which I can't even pronounce, and then they went over to New York City and got in the hustle and bustle of their financial world. They came back to New Orleans. Why? Because they love you. They love the people. They love their people, and they couldn't get a crow po' boy in New York either, apparently. So they came home, got some Crystal Hot Sauce, and loaded up. They have offices on Porter Street and Lafayette. More on them later in the show. But in the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Yeah, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, wife has COVID. I'm begging the good Lord that she gets better and that I don't get it. Or that ain't what this is, or whatever it is. Let's see. Rocky, I'm gonna show you a comment in a minute. Larry says he's from Brookhaven, Mississippi. Well, we welcome you to the show for sure. Ray says put a spy on Hertz. Okay. Mason, give you a little shout out. Thank you for coming on, I think, if my mouse works right. Outdoor Kitchens of Lafayette. There you go. Free plug. Veteran owned. You say hello. Moses Maldonado. Welcome to the show. Big Sean, you are always here, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for the prayers. Come on, mouse. Not working with me this morning. Hope everything well, says Black Preacher Man. Home front. He's got Saints 31, Eagles 17. He believes. We're already getting predictions. All right, you know what? Let's get into it. The man, the myth, the legend. He hasn't been here for 2 whole weeks. We almost forgot what he looks like. Larry Holder, The Athletic. How are you this morning, my friend?
I technically only missed one show, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think the problem is we had got like addicted to Larry Holder because you were on like 3 shows in less than a calendar week. And then we don't have you for 2 weeks. So, it just got a little weird. That's all.
Well, I would say a lot has changed since the last time we spoke.
Speaking of that, Rocky's got a comment for you. He says, Larry said we would lose to Dallas and wasn't sure we'd beat Carolina as he felt like they were more improved than the Saints, and also that our O-line would be horrible. I don't think he said all that. Larry,
I definitely didn't say all of that.
Okay, yeah, I actually that's more of like things that I said. So
definitely did not.
That's real close, Rocky, to what I said. So don't y'all giving Larry crap? Before you got here, they were giving you crap. I don't know. And David's like exacto. That's not what Larry said. That's what I said. I already ate my crow po' boy. Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, I didn't say that about Carolina. Selective memory. I think we have tape. Like we literally have tape.
We do, but I'm not going back to find it right now.
It's not that important. I'm just saying that was now. Of course, I don't think anybody. I'm not gonna say not anybody. Not a ton of people probably picked the Saints to beat Dallas. I didn't.
Some of the Hoodats did.
Well, I mean, I get that, but I didn't pick them. All you got to do is, because we go over some picks in the segment every week, and I just looked back at my picks last week, and my gosh, I should not have gone with so many favorites. That was a bloody Sunday. I'm sure Vegas and all the sports books cleaned up for all those who picked heavy favorites.
No doubt about it. All right, let's get to some other of these comments. We got y'all making your predictions already. Y'all can't wait. All right, here's a doubter.
Everybody's fired up. Yeah.
Amoni, Eagles 45, Saints 17.
Oh my goodness.
You trying to piss some people off in this thread. Rocky says all in fun. We got enough po' boys to share. Larry, you can have some po' boy. All right, Philip Green. A lot has changed, but yeah, we still have so many daughters in New Orleans. Okay, I guess so. Michael, greetings from Lafayette. Hoodat from Lafayette. Thank you for joining. All right, here's one. Our regular Brian. Would they go back to the standard 3 linebacker, 4 DB look with AJ Brown out? Saints 37, Eagles 23. It is going to be an interesting one thing that I think AJ Brown being out, Larry, does is I think, and I've been talking about this early in the week, but I think maybe it allows you to put Willie Gay in there to kind of be a spy on Hurts. And because that's one less, you don't have to double up on AJ Brown. And you still got Devontae Smith to deal with. But I do think that helps the Saints defense and open some things up a little bit.
Well, if you still do the math, I'm sure that they are going to put more than 2 receivers out in a formation. That's the thing. That's the NFL. Even if you are saying Dallas Goedert might be like their number 3 receiver, still there's going to be plenty enough times where it doesn't matter if AJ Brown's out. You're still going to run the same sort of style of plays. I think it just depends on the personnel. That's the thing. It's like if you're saying to play 3 linebackers all the time, what happens if you don't have enough corners? It all depends on personnel and how what Philadelphia is putting in on the play, then the Saints substitute. So there's no changing stylistically. The NFL. You look at your lineups now, you're typically playing 3 corners anyway. It just depends on the personnel. Well,
and it helps too that looks like there's a good chance Marshawn Lattimore will be back. So that helps you run people in and out. I guess my point was it just frees you up to do maybe a few more things that you might not have been able to do with AJ Brown out, even if it doesn't change the schematics or the personnel in general. You're able to concentrate a little bit more maybe on Hurts running the ball, because not that he tries to run as much as some other quarterbacks like Lamar Smith. Jeez, that's the second time I've done that
You
And
just
like,
channeling back to
I know. Like I said,
days.
whenever you come on, I said Jordan Jefferson last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it is. I mean, when you come on,
I
I just
have
like
to catch
fumble
myself
name.
a lot of times with that too. I'm like, did I just say Justin Jefferson? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to like tape it to my screen. Lamar Jackson. He doesn't run nearly as much as him if he doesn't have to, but he still likes to. He ran 10 or 11 times this past Monday night. And but the Saints typically, you know this as well as I do, Larry, they've had trouble in the past, at least the recent past, for last 4 or 5 years, against quarterbacks that you consider mobile quarterbacks, running quarterbacks, whatever you want to call them.
Oh, absolutely. And do the Saints, when they're looking at defensively, do they feel like they probably caught a little bit of a break? Of course, absolutely. When AJ Brown's one of the best receivers in the league, and they probably feel confident. I'm not trying to take this away from Devontae Smith, but he's not
Right.
AJ Brown, and you probably don't need to double that guy ever. Like if he was, say, if AJ Brown didn't exist and they drafted Devontae Smith and they want him to be their number one receiver, they probably feel confident with at least two of the cornerbacks that they have if Lattimore is healthy. Like you would feel confident with Lattimore on him or Adebo on him. Like so, I don't think you have to. It does change.
Are you dissing the pride of a meet Louisiana?
I guess if you're saying that if he doesn't have to be doubled, if that's a diss, I guess I am.
All right. Big Sean says and this is true. I can back him up on this. He said he had the Saints beating Carolina and Dallas, and then is straight up. I like it. Says he also. I don't like the pick. I'm just saying I like that he's coming forward. Also had Saints losing to Philly. We're gonna give our predictions later on. David says Willie Gay is a X Factor spy guy. I mean, that's what I think too. But obviously, Larry's saying you don't change the way you do things because it's working. I mean, right? It's working. PBM says at least 12 wins before the season. It's funny how, as we go into this, and again, things are so much different than the last time you and I talked. It's funny what 2 wins can change for just the average fan and the outlook. And Gabe was joking. I mean, I guess it's not supposed to be funny, haha. But I mean, Gabe was talking to me about something he read on social media about there having supposedly been a murder in the city of New Orleans in 18 days, which is like the longest stretch in many, many, many years. And some people are jokingly attributing to the fact that the Saints are good, but it's just it's crazy to think that how much 2 games can do. I mean, I haven't heard one Derek Carr hater in 2 weeks. I haven't heard even the DA haters. There are a couple of numbnuts who are out there that's talking about fire Dennis Allen right now so you can make sure you can keep Clint Kubiak. I mean, which is ridiculous. But, I mean, for the most part, it's 14 days. 2 games can turn haters into lovers. It's amazing.
Didn't they go 2-0 last year?
They did, but this is different 2-0. Even I'll
Obviously,
say that.
That's the point. That's the point.
I mean, it's a big difference 2-0.
They were emphatic in beating both of these teams. And the 2 teams that they beat to start 2-0 last year, look at them now. They're still the same.
Bottom of the pack.
Bottom feeders, exactly, with Tennessee.
Might be the worst 2 teams in the
Carolina.
NFL. I know, at least, what I think about Tennessee. I said it in my preview. So Tennessee and Carolina could be the worst 2 teams in the NFL now.
Well, I think the Giants are still lurking.
They're down there too.
But there's no doubt. And you're hearing about them nationally. Because they beat up on Dallas, and Dallas is Dallas, and they're also a playoff caliber team. And so there's no doubt that there's a difference in that scenario. And I think that people have to still wonder, okay, is this Saints team for real?
Right.
And does, beating Philadelphia, that probably puts you in the for real category. I mean, I think a lot of people are definitely optimistic, and I get it. And do we think maybe the Saints will be better than we thought they will be? I mean, they're certainly looking to be that way. But look, I've seen teams in the NFL start 6-0 and plummet. And we saw an Eagles team last year start 10-0 or something, and then they just completely plummeted. So Do they look great for now? Absolutely. I'm not saying that they're going to fall.
And enjoy it.
Enjoy it. And do the Saints have a better than 50-50 shot at beating the Eagles this weekend? I'd say absolutely. And so I think that's if you're a Saints fan, I mean, this is there's no point in not getting on board. And I think the Superdome is going to be rocking. And I think that's a great thing, obviously, for everyone in this city.
A couple things here. Saints have some comments. Saints have scored in 16 of 18 drives so far. There's no one looking better. That's true. There's no one that's looked better than them. That is absolutely true. It's how they won. Absolutely true. Big Sean says a whole different energy this year. That's true. Brian, you got a long one. I'll just read part of your comment. You know, he had them at 7-10, now 8-9. Beat the Eagles. It's up to 9-8, but be realistic. 15-2 is not happening. I mean, it's hard to be realistic. I talked about this with Mike Haas on Wednesday. I mean, it's hard to be realistic, but even the odds makers are going insane. If you look at the spread, and it's changed since yesterday, pre-game Monday, or maybe before the Saints played the Cowboys. No, it was before Monday. It was Sunday night. I looked at it. The Saints were 2.5-point underdogs on Sunday night. They were 3-point underdogs before they whooped up on Dallas. 2.5-point underdogs on Sunday night. By Monday morning, it was all the way to like plus 1.5. Now they're giving the Eagles points. After the Eagles lost a fluky loss, down it's plus 2.5 Eagles, and now it's another 0.5 point towards the Eagles. Everybody's betting on the Saints, and Vegas is even getting on the hype train.
Hey, if Vegas is getting on the hype train, that's actually probably the most important thing because they typically know more than the average bear, right? So, yeah, I think that, look, it all spells out, especially the way the Eagles played. Even in week one, it was, I know they put up a bunch of points, but it still felt like, all right, a high-scoring game against Green Bay. It's not totally – it didn't feel totally right.
Right.
Because I feel like, and you know me, I love monitoring quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, like his rates in some of the advanced rates and metrics I use, he's one of the best in the league, but his passer rating is still in the 80s and low, like mid to low 80s. And it still doesn't feel totally right. And then you don't have AJ Brown. I mean, look, not having AJ Brown.
I'm not going to cry for them.
No. Never. My
friend Fonz is saying, who still wants Rattler in there? An experienced quarterback versus a Pro Bowl. Remember that? It was like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3. Give him 3, but 3 at the most. 3 weeks ago, we were actually having a conversation of people saying they wanted Spencer Rattler instead of Derek Carr, who is the number 1 quarterback via the metric of NFL quarterback rating. I don't know QBR. I'm not sure what he is QBR, but I know he's number 1 in quarterback rating.
In the two metrics I look at, passer rating, and this is EPA per dropback, which is expected points added per dropback. He's number 1 in the league. He's the king. It's true. I mean, what do you want to do? It's true. It is here's the thing. When people kind of debate that last year around this time, that was probably Tua Tagovailoa, and throughout the year last year it was Brock Purdy. But they and then like as the season progressed, Tua fell, but Brock Purdy stayed hot because I mean it's legit. Like it is legit that Derek Carr has been the best quarterback in the NFL. You know who's lurking around there in the top 2, 3, 4?
Not Trevor Lawrence.
Baker Mayfield.
Oh, there you go.
The NFC South has 2 of the top 4 quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and it's like production wise, it's all legit. It is.
And Kirk Cousins didn't look very good in game 1, but he looked a lot better in game 2. When they say he can't play in primetime, we'll see what he does against the Chiefs this week. But hey, you look at these numbers, and again, look, I know it's only through 2 weeks, so you have to take rankings with a grain of salt. Always take rankings with a grain of salt. But you talk about this Eagles offense, and it's not nearly as productive as it's been. Look, yeah, sure, yards per game, 6th. And points 5th, but you talk about their individual, and they're only 10th passing wise, and they don't have AJ Brown. And the Saints' only place where they've been struggling, but it's their defense, Larry. Philadelphia's defense has been awful through 2 games. I don't think there's any other way to say it. And they let Atlanta drive through them last week on that final drive like they were, soup or grits or something like that.
Yeah, and that goes back to last year. I mean, the defense totally just took a dive at the end, and people were just, scoring all over them, aka Baker Mayfield and Tampa in the playoffs. I mean, but that had happened for weeks in a row. And so this doesn't totally stun me. I do like their pickup of what they made in the offseason with Bryce Huff with the Jets, but he hasn't been super effective yet. And so look, I think that they tried to make some changes in the secondary, and the way that the Saints have been able to attack that. I mean, all of that spells for the Saints offense to kind of continue their success. I think the big thing with the Saints defensively, I mean, you look at the Saints run defense rushing numbers. I think some of that, do we know if the Saints can really stop the run? We don't really know that yet because their offense has been so dominant. The other team has to go pass first exclusively. So if the Saints, I think that's going to be a test. You talk about spying Jalen Hurts. I mean, I think that's something you could do. And also Saquon Barkley. I mean, he has been a big time difference for the Eagles with this offense. He's certainly more, they use him and he's been more productive, even just scoring. I mean, look, last year, I think DeAndre Swift had like 2 touchdowns. Like Saquon Barkley had more than that in week 1 by himself. And so, and also look, if it's a different story, what if Saquon Barkley catches that ball late in the game and they get first?
That's what makes this team.
We're talking a different story with the Eagles a little bit.
And in general, I think that's what makes this team so much better is Saquon Barkley. Look, there wouldn't be nearly the negativity, and I don't think this line would be what it was if it wouldn't be for that final drive. And now, look, Coach Nick Sirianni, I think everybody knows what I think about him. He is ridiculously in over his head. I don't care that he took a team as far as he took them a couple years ago. Some of the decisions he makes to me are insane. They're insanely bad. And I don't care if it was wide open. He should have caught the ball. You don't throw the ball there. You run the ball. You run the clock down to 58 seconds, and then you do the tush push, and you get the first. There's like a 90% chance you're going to get a first down anyway. You run the clock, and if you don't get it, at worst, Atlanta's going to get and try to drive and kick a game-time field goal at worst. But instead, you decide to throw the ball. Just the mistakes that they made. So I think there's a lot of negatives going on against Philadelphia. As good as I think Saquon makes their offense in the long run, makes them even better than they are. And when A.J. Brown comes back, they're going to have one of the best offenses in the league. But still, you got Sirianni calling the plays.
And the Saints are catching them without A.J. Brown. Oh, well.
Perfect time.
Oh, well, so what? It's not like I don't think anyone in the building on Airline Drive or really a lot of people in this city, even if the Eagles had A.J. Brown, the Saints defense can stack up with just about anyone. And
they have been for sure.
Right. So that's not that to me would not be some massive concern because I feel like the Saints would be able to handle even with A.J. Brown. So I think that's the telling thing. I mean, we're seeing all of this. And look, this goes back to you and me talking leading up to the season about the Saints. Look where the Saints are offensively and defensively. And look, do I think the Saints are going to be the number 3 offense and number 1 in scoring points by the end of the season? I don't know. But all I thought was that the Saints offense just needed to be within the top, 12.
Right.
Like the fact that if they fall a little bit, the Saints defense is good
Still
enough
in good shape
to stack up against anyone. And so that is a recipe for success. And you're seeing that. And I think that's why we're seeing where the Saints are. Even the Saints put up 44 points against Dallas. I mean, 19 is still a really good number against the Cowboys. Like if you do that regularly, you're going to win a lot of games. Yeah.
And if you're listening to the pod after the fact and you can't see my screen here that I have, we have the rankings for each team. Again, these are only through 2 games, so take them with a grain of salt. But one of the things is Saints defense, rushing wise, they're 3rd in the league in rushing defense, 20th in the league in passing defense, 4th in points allowed, and 7th in total yards per game. But that 20 is kind of a misleading number, Larry, because they've been ahead and they've been forcing teams to throw the ball, especially, you look at what Carolina did 2 weeks ago, and all they did the whole second half was throw. And so that number is a little bit misleading.
Well, that's why I caution. You see that third and rushing defense. Obviously, the Eagles are going to be more potent in trying to run the football.
Right.
And
exactly.
So, especially no A.J. Brown. And here's the thing. They know the defense is a big weakness. They want to probably try to play ball control, hang onto the ball, and keep the Saints offense, which has been super explosive, off the field. I mean, that's got to be the key for them to try to pick up a win, because here's the thing, man, the dome is going to be rocking. Like, it's the Saints fans and Hoodats have been waiting how many years to be able to rock this thing? Because guess what? In 2020,
ever since Drew Brees left,
the last time, well, you couldn't even do it that year. That was COVID.
That's true. That's
Drew
true.
Brees had 3,000
That's true.
fans,
there was no one in there.
And no
so
one
really,
was in
the
there
NFC Championship game was the last time.
Exactly. And so,
wow, I never thought about that.
Yeah, that's the last time Saints fans have really been able to gear up and get in there. And it's like they've been itching and like, this is the time. And now they have legit reason to do it.
5 years ago, it seems like 20 years ago. Demetrius James, I know Gabe showed that already, but who dat from St. Paul, Minnesota? Who was it that was we had from Minnesota back on the old Duncan Holder show that used to come on all the time from Minnesota? You remember that?
He used to be a truck driver. I'm friends with him on Facebook.
Okay, you remember who I'm talking about? That
yes.
It starts with a C, doesn't it? His name starts
Cordell.
Cordell.
Yes.
C.
Yes. He was loyal. Yeah.
He was
Cordell's
very loyal.
Guy.
We needed to come find us back again. A-Town saying he hopes the Saints defense kept receipts on Saquon Barkley. Last time he came to the Dome with the Giants and talked some stuff.
Oh, my gosh. The fact that you actually even remember that.
I guess Saints fans don't forget, man.
Oh, my goodness.
They don't forget. They are
I guess because the Giants were a playoff team that year, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, the Giants are so far off even that year, like
they don't forget, man. Big Sean saying now his wife is camping out and waiting for us to lose to rub it in his face, even though we demolished her team. I guess her team is the Dallas Cowboys. Irene Sanders, welcome to the show. Who dat from Atlanta? We got somebody from the ATL rooting for the Hoodats.
Oh, I'm sure there's more than one people. We got enough New Orleans transplants in Atlanta.
Man, got some new people this morning. Good to hear. All right, look, I'm going to tell you real quick. We're going to come back and finish the show, which isn't going to be long, by the way. Maybe 10 minutes from now, we're going to come back, finish the show with our Saints prediction. All right, we're going to make our predictions. If you were watching the show yesterday, you kind of know what I'm predicting. I didn't give you a score yet, so I will at the end of the show. But we want to take just 5 or 6 minutes and talk about the NFL as a whole, because that's what Larry and I do. The Saints are so good. We used to spend the way we did it last year was kind of like half Saints and half NFL. But the Saints are so good now. It's probably going to be more like 85% Saints and 15% NFL. But I do want to get your thoughts on the games of the week, and we will come back to that slide in just a moment. All right, Larry. Best games of week 3. I'm going to start out real quick. Texans at Vikings. That is the best game in the noon window if you don't count the Eagles, Saints, and Gabe Henderson's doing the dance back in the green room.
What? You're not buying into 2-0 Chargers at 2-0 Steelers? That doesn't excite you?
I wouldn't watch that game. If that was the only game on, maybe I would watch it, but I'd probably fall asleep by the middle of the second quarter because it's going to be like 13-10. Who cares?
Oh, well,
pick a side. I don't care who you pick.
The old Fighting Sam Darnold's. Look, I remember we certainly did not have high hopes from Minnesota going into the season.
Hopes.
But it's funny. I kept leaning on the stat, and it just kept sticking with me. And this goes back to when Sam Darnold was starting. He started the last probably 6 or 7 games with Carolina in 2022. And then some of the metrics I used throughout the back half of the season, he ranked 3rd behind Mahomes and Goff in EPA per drop back. And people were like, that's crazy. And, well, I think that's a reason why San Francisco made sure to go get him in the offseason to back up Brock Purdy if they needed him, so they'd have someone viable. And I'm sure that's why the Vikings went and got him, because they said, look, he's actually gotten better, even though people definitely don't buy him yet. And so we'll see. But yeah, look, I think that that is going to be an interesting one, because
very interesting.
Look, the Vikings defense has gotten a ton better, and that's, to me, is really more surprising than maybe even the offense.
I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, you got the old defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, is the defensive coordinator there. He has changed, and I think you and I both talked about how we both think Kevin O'Connell is a fantastic coach and play caller, and he's basically turned Sam Darnold into a real quarterback so far. Again, it's early, so we'll see. But look, I made my prediction in the NFL, my NFL picks column. When I do it like this, it means I think it could go either way. It means I pick all 16 games, and so I got to pick something. I predict it was 2.5 when I picked it. I predicted the Texans to win, but the Vikings to cover. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Vikings win this football game. It is in Minnesota. I mean, I'm not on the Texans train. Sorry, Gabe. I think they're good, but I don't think that we're all of a sudden talking like they're one of the best 2 or 3 teams in the NFC, in the AFC, and I don't necessarily.
I picked Vikings straight up. I think last week's game against Chicago, like the Texans,
made you believe,
didn't look too sharp. So they were a little bit better defensively, but they added pieces on defense to make themselves better. But it looked a little too shaky for me. So I've been to Minnesota a few times. That place can be an intimidating place to play in. So you add
there's no doubt about that.
And so, like Minnesota, I could see them winning by a field goal, something like that. But yeah, I think that this could be a game where the Texans, this will be a tough one for them to win. Even though I think they're good, yes, but I think I'm with you. I think they're top 4 in the AFC. So yeah. But no, I'm going Minnesota straight up.
All right, Big Sean saying, correct you if you're wrong. Okay, I will correct you because you're wrong. And the only reason why I know for sure is because I just looked it up while Larry was talking. But isn't Sam Darnold undefeated against the Saints? He is not. He is 2-1. I just looked it up.
He's got a winning record.
He does. He's 2-1. David Bordelon says Texans, Ravens, Chiefs. Okay. By the way, now is the time to get if you haven't already done so, and I'll go back through some, but if you haven't got your Saints prediction in and you want it on the air, you want it on record, now is the time to send it, because I'll show it as we're about to get to our final prediction, Saints, Eagles. But first, all right, Ravens, Cowboys. This one's in my best bets. So I don't understand this line at all. There's no way the Ravens should be favored here. I mean, basically, before the season, we thought these teams, by power ratings, if you look at almost everyone's power ratings, by Vegas odds, by whatever you want to look at, the Cowboys and the Ravens were pretty damn close to even. They both were predicted to win 10.5 games. That was their over-under. Now the Ravens are 0-2. The Cowboys are 1-1. And for some reason, the Ravens are going to Dallas and are a 1-point favorite. Make it make sense.
Dallas can't run the ball. The Ravens' run defense isn't so good. Ravens' pass defense is good, and that's what Dallas does best. And so I think that's
that's a case for the under. That's not a case for picking Baltimore, though.
Well, I'll just tell you, I picked Baltimore straight up. But yeah, also
crossfire.
Guess what? The Ravens, can they certainly run the football? Yes. And someone gashed them badly last week.
Yeah.
So I added all that up and said, look, I'm going to go Ravens. I can't. I mean, look, the Ravens are 0-2. Obviously, that was a good week 1 matchup was tough. Last week, that was something I'm sure the Ravens fans are like, how the hell that happen? They lost to the Raiders. But no, I'm going Ravens straight up.
I got the Cowboys. This is one of my best bets. I think they bounce back. Again, like you said, the Ravens' run defense isn't very good. Doesn't matter. Cowboys not going to run the ball. It's going to be Dak, and maybe Zeke will find a way to run. I don't know, but I like the Cowboys defense, and I think that they're going to I get the Ravens are 0-2, but whoever loses this game, by the way, their fans are going to be calling for their coach's head, which is absurd in itself, because to show you how dumb fans are. We're getting lots of predictions in here. This is the most we've ever got. So Keep them rolling. You got about 2 minutes to get them in before we get to them. All right. By the way, that game, Ravens and Cowboys, is the Tom Brady game. He will now start his professional career as a broadcaster, being the color analyst of the Cowboys. 3 straight games now. Sunday at 3:25 on Fox. All right. Sunday at 7:20 on NBC, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Atlanta Falcons. I know who Hoodats will be rooting for. The Chiefs are 3-point favorites. Seems kind of low to me. This weird game. I think I picked Atlanta against the spread only because I don't know. I don't really care. I'm not making a true pick. This one's a tough one. I think the Chiefs should win, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Falcons played well at home following up last week's game.
I mean, I've taken Kansas City. It's hard not to ever take Kansas City.
It was 3.5 when I picked it, by the way, and I picked the Falcons to lose by 3. So there you go.
Yeah, but I do think that part of this is that it's the second year in a row where Kansas City's offense has looked sluggish. If you go back and look at the rates, and like I do, this is Patrick Mahomes' second worst start within 2 weeks of his career as a starter. Last year was the worst.
Right.
So it's not like they've gotten off to some flying start. Isaiah Pacheco out for quite a while. That he brings a boost. So what do they do running the football? It's not like they have this super potent passing game. It's like Travis Kelce, to me, has looked a little bit old and the last year. And so, I mean, you lean on Rashee Rice. Maybe they get Xavier Worthy involved. And I think Atlanta might be starting to catch some footing. I mean, like I said, I picked the Chiefs straight up just because how do you pick against the Chiefs? A lot of times it's hard to. But still, I wouldn't be shocked like you if Atlanta pulled off a win because I think Kansas City is beatable. There's no dominant team yet. And Kansas City is not a dominant team. I
agree. They aren't dominant. And by the way, that record is, I forgot to reverse the records when I was doing my graph. I was telling someone yesterday, I think I've messed up at least one thing on a graphic every show like the past 2 weeks. So if that's all I messed up this and for this show, we're fine. Kansas City's 2-0, Falcons are 1-1, but it's the Chiefs on the road, a 3-point favorite. I wouldn't touch that game with a stick. That's a game I will simply watch and enjoy. Okay, it is time. Real quick, we never really talked about it in the open because I got right into Saints. We had all these comments, but the UCLA Bruins, you want a tip, and I should have put it in my best bets. LSU is going to steamroll. You heard me say the Jets are going to steamroll the Patriots yesterday. If you were here yesterday, you got a freebie. That was like free money. Okay. You want more free money? LSU is going to steamroll UCLA. And it's not going to be, they're going to send them home like with that tail between their legs. It's going to be ugly. UCLA is terrible. They barely beat Hawaii and they got steamrolled by 30 points against Indiana. They can't score. They have no offense. What does LSU do worst? Stop the pass. UCLA can't pass. They can't run. They can't do anything on offense. LSU is going to win this game by 35 or more. So there you go. I
have not paid attention to UCLA. I just know that LSU makes me nervous.
Oh, they can make you nervous. Well, wait till they play Ole Miss. Then they'll really make you. Actually, you got more to worry about next week because South Alabama is actually better than UCLA. So when LSU wins by a ton this week, that line will probably be super inflated next week, and you'll probably want to take the Jaguars. So that's a whole different story. Anyway, I'm telling you right now, you can believe it or not believe, whatever. Don't put money on it. I don't care whether you do. I'm just giving you free money. LSU is going to win easily. So anyway, and for some reason, that line keeps dropping. It started out at like something stupid like 27.5. It's down to 23. Why? Because people say, oh, I don't know. This LSU team kind of stinks. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. They're still going to win by 5 touchdowns on Saturday. And then real quickly, the Tulane line has dropped away as well. And I don't get this because I like Tulane. Not nearly as much as LSU, but Tulane minus 2.5. That doesn't make any sense to me either. So anyway, there's my thoughts on college football. I didn't get to say it earlier. It's time for the predictions of the New Orleans Saints. But real quick, I can't do it without doing business first. Anyway, I want to. They're my friends now. We love them. We told you earlier we will let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family or privately owned business might be worth, whether it's time to sell. Well, how do they do it? After their complimentary valuation of your company that we told you about in the first half of the show, if and only if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanians Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt, and the folks at Evangeline will begin an extensive auction process among established private equity funds from around the world. And they will maximize the return process for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. No companies, I'd say very few, to hell with it. No companies like them in this area, none with their dedication and success. They're fully licensed, ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. The rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Okay, Larry, we got tons of predictions. I'm going to show at least some of them here. First off, Sybil Booth Wilson. Who dat from? Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. Walt Crawford, before I even make my prediction, says he wants to see feathers on my beard Monday from eating crow. We'll work on that. Brian says 37-23 Saints. Dylan says 31-24 Saints. David says 34-20. Walt saying Saints 34-21. We got another 34-21 from Sean. Black Preacher Man says 31-17. A-Town 38-24. We only had the one person predicting the Eagles so far. Irene Sanders, who we told you about earlier, her husband played for the Falcons and Lions, and she's a big Saints fan. It's complicated, she says. Son played at Tulane. Daughter worked for Coach O at LSU. Irene says Saints 24, Eagles 17. And let's see. Brandon says Saints win by 20. A-Town 49-6. And Clint, who dat? Saints 35-17. Man, there's a lot of Saints love going on. I'm going to let you go first, Larry Holder.
I have picked the Saints to win. I've picked them to win. Let's see the spread. All right. I'm picking them to win straight up. But I am going to go under.
You're going to go under?
27-20 Saints.
Okay.
Like, I just feel like when it comes down to it, the Saints, look, they're not going to be scoring 40-something points a game every week. I feel like that, like, even in the win, we saw Derek Carr throw a poor pass. Like, I feel like Derek Carr's not going to be perfect the entire time. Maybe we see a mishap here, but the Saints are good enough to overcome it. And defensively, I think this is going to be a bit more of a challenge just because they haven't been tested on their run defense. So Hurts and Barkley bring the biggest test we've certainly seen this year through the first 2 weeks. So makes it a little closer, but Saints 27, Eagles 20.
Rocky's thrilled because you matched his pick. It's a done deal. Write it down. Championship.
Just like I picked the Panthers 48-0 in week 1, right? That's
TJ
what I said?
Yeah. Well, we got receipts because we have it on tape, like you said. So, but could you imagine, before I get to my pick, could you imagine me telling you 2 weeks ago that you were going to pick the Saints to beat the Eagles by a touchdown?
I could have imagined it. It just, I think part of it would have been, it depended on how the Eagles turned out. Like that's the thing. Given how the Eagles plummeted last year, anybody could have beat them by the end of last year. So I wasn't going to put it out of the
That makes sense. That makes sense. You're it's as much of you not believing in Philadelphia as it is believing in the Saints. All right. Here we go. I mean, Larry and I often don't agree on Saints games. And I've been known to eat crow and be wrong about the Saints. I gave you my pick yesterday that I thought the Saints wouldn't cover. I told you it was one of my best bets. Eagles plus 2.5. Now it's plus 3. It's even better best bet now. The line doesn't make any sense. From line purposes, there's no way in hell. And I mean, even if you think the Saints are going to win, don't mix your hoot-daddy-ness with betting on the Saints. Don't bet on the Saints, okay? even if you think they're going to win. Here's why I think they're not going to win. Okay. I asked Gabe for his prediction, and it's exactly the same score as mine. It's Eagles 31, Saints 27. I just think that I got the over too.
I screamed so loud that I triggered a Monster Mash thing in my living room that my wife put up.
Sorry.
You made me scare
the monster? I'm scaring monsters now? Look, I hope I'm wrong. I'm just telling you where that I think that it is. I'm not buying I'll buy some of the fool's gold, but when I shake it through the pan and it all falls through and like, holy crap, it's not really gold. I'm not falling for this yet. I'm not saying I won't fall for it later. Do I really think the Saints D is that bad? No. I think the Eagles offense is that good and no one's given them enough credit yet. That's what I think. Even without A.J. Brown. The Saints, again, it's just as much because the Saints have struggled. I've said this over and over again. I'm not going to get fooled again. If they stop Jalen Hurts, great, but they can't stop a running quarterback. They couldn't when they were one of the best defenses in the NFL, and I don't think they can now. It's no different. I don't care who you put on them. They're going to have trouble trying to figure out who's going to run the ball, Hurts or Barkley. It's not Hurts' arm that worries me. It's his feet.
Man.
Zach says I'm a clown, by the way. Zach, by the way, thank you for the breaking news that A.J. Brown isn't playing because we didn't say that like 8 times in the show. But thank you for telling me. I had holy shit. I think I've changed my mind. Because of what Zach, I've changed my. Zach just told me A.J. Brown's playing. The hell with it. Saints 41-0. Back to reality.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
what?
I mean, back to reality.
Believe it.
Lance, come on, man. He's got Eagle pride. What the Saints is doing is sustainable. Of course it is. But it could be sustainable. The scheme, the coaching from Kubiak, it's all sustainable, Larry, but it's still just 2 games.
I get it, but why can't it be 3?
It can be. And I'll believe even more if it happens again. I'm not sitting here saying there is no way the Saints are going to win on Sunday. It's a prediction, people. It's a prediction. Preacher man, Saints will make a believer out of me by the no. Preacher man, if the Saints win this game, I'm going to be a believer. I'm going to be a believer. If the Saints start 3-0, when I would have told you there was 0 chance they would be 3-0, I'm going to be a believer. I don't know. Larry,
man, I did not
give me your final comments.
I did not.
You expected me to pick the Saints, or you didn't expect a backlash?
No, I expected you to pick the Saints. I mean, like I said, my reasoning is that I don't buy the Eagles defense a ton. Look, I bought Dallas's defense more than I was going to buy the Eagles defense. I know Dallas had a breakdown toward the end of last season, just kind of 1 or 2 games. The Eagles had a fundamental breakdown. And like I said, I just don't love what I've seen from Jalen Hurts overall. And I think you add it up.
That makes a lot of sense.
Look, I come with some sound, not just rah. Obviously,
well,
I picked against.
I'm going to tell you why I just came with rah rah rah. I don't mind if you want to disagree with me. I'm going to show it all day long. You want to make fun about eating crow po' boys? Fine. But you want to call me a name, dude? You're going to get me fired up, riled up, and you can piss off. It's my show. I can say whatever I want. Just who it is. There's a reason why it's called Dattitude. Mono E Monday will be must see. Eating crow. I'm gonna have to find something to eat. I don't know what kind of bird I can eat, but I have to eat it on the air. Demetrius says 31-27 Saints. He agrees about Hurts and Barkley. However, there's little reason to believe that the Eagles defense will contain Kubiak's scheme. That's what Larry's been saying the whole show. So you're agreeing? I mean, that's exactly what Larry's been saying, and I think could be right.
Yeah, like I don't expect the offense to score 40-something points every game, but I do think that the Saints defense is equipped to contain, especially an A.J. Brown-less Eagles offense.
See, Sean, this is the way you disagree without saying you're a clown. Okay. How often you seen the Saints if you're like one of my boys or whatever, you call me a clown. If you've never made a comment on this show, and you might have made one or two in the past, but don't come at me with you're a clown. This is how you do it, Sean. How often you see the Saints defense give up 31 points? Come on, man. Perfectly fine. This year I haven't. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I don't know. All right, let's get off before I go off on an even bigger tangent. I said I was going to limit this show to 40 to 45 minutes.
Impossible.
I knew I couldn't do it, but we are going to limit it to
You were
under
trying
an
to tell
hour.
me you were going to do that. I said impossible.
We'll see who's right and who's wrong. And if I'm wrong, I mean, I don't think either one of us are really good. It's not like we're going to not go to sleep. Oh, man, I was wrong. I don't know how I'm going to sleep tonight. No. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm going to be happy I'm wrong. It'll be make for a better mono-y Monday.
Right? I never lose, but I also never win, so it doesn't bother me.
Exactly. All right, I'm going to close out the show, but in the meantime, I'm going to tell you goodbye, and we will see you next Friday.
You got it.
All right. Larry Hodler, ladies and gentlemen. I think he had more fun than I think he was kind of expecting. Certainly didn't expect me to. It's hard to piss me off. It really is. It's hard to piss me off. And I don't know why I let that one get under my skin, because you know how many stupid emails I get on a regular basis or comments on. You should have seen. Go back and look at the thread. Gabe and I were talking about it on Wednesday. Go back and look at the thread about the Pac-12 stuff and Tulane going to the Pac-12 and how I think it's ridiculously dumb that Tulane's even thinking about going to the Pac-12. It's hard to get my goat, but I didn't get my goat in that one. Sometimes it's certain keywords that get my goat. I don't know. Philip says we love you. You make the show enjoyable. Smiles always. That's the point. This is entertainment, because people take things to heart. It's like, don't take anything I say to heart ever. I mean, enjoy it. You could disagree with me, agree with me. We're gonna have fun doing what we do here on Dattitude. But if you piss me off, I'm probably gonna put myself in jeopardy of being reprimanded by the bosses. I am who I am. Rocky, would it be more competitive? Suicide for Tulane, Pac-12. That's a whole different story. We'll do a segment on that. And look, by the way, I haven't done enough on LSU and Tulane. And I keep saying that, I know. But we have got to pick one day, maybe a Wednesday or something, and at least do half a show on local colleges. We really do. But I had the chance this week. I really wanted to talk more about the LSU this week. I had the chance to get Mike Hoss, voice of the Saints, on Wednesday, and it kind of changed the plans. It is what it is. Do I still think the Saints win 7 games or less this year? I'll tell you Monday. How's that? I mean, I said, I don't know if it was this Monday. I think it was this Monday. Yeah, it had to be. I said Monday that the 7.5, which is now, by the way, it jumped up to 8.5 after Carolina game, which made no sense Vegas wise. Talking about Vegas now. Then their odds jumped to 10.5. That's absurd. The over-under on the Saints now is 10.5. You don't go from 7.5 to 10.5 in 2 weeks. So I would certainly take the under 10.5 right now. But I think if I were forced to give you a number at the moment, well, you know what? I'll save it. It's hard to make that giant leap. I'm not about taking quantum leaps. I don't jump that high. I mean, look at me. I don't jump high. My feet are grounded, dude. I mean, if I tell y'all at some point I think this is the best team in the NFC, you know I mean it. And it's not because I'm a fanboy. If at some point I say that, then you'll know, holy crap, Jim Derry saying he thinks the Saints are the best team. If you ever hear me say that, then you know I mean it. I don't know. All right, time to say goodbye for the weekend. Clint, all fun talk and speculation. Walt says, don't let the haters get to me. I don't usually. 95, it takes a lot. Maybe it's just, again, certain keywords. I don't know. All right. Again, if you don't see me Monday, it means I'm really sick. I hope that's not the case. I'm praying it ain't the case. I'm telling you, it might be the case. I'm hoping. I'd much rather eat fried crow po' boy than be laying in a bed somewhere. And by the way, A-Town says another great show. Thank you. And he's telling everybody to have a great weekend. By the way, and Gabe can't even do it because Gabe's going on vacation. Sort of. He's going on vacation, but he's getting his new house, moving into a new house next week. So everyone give a congratulations to Gabe. He's living in Houston. So, I mean, that's the bad news for him. But it is what it is. Rocky says, greatest podcast going. Thank you, my friend. We got the greatest friends of Dattitude. The greatest friends of a show. Dattitude. We got the best podcast family. That's what I wanted to say. Took me a few times to get it out. Best podcast family on the planet. And the numbers are getting there. We're getting more and more people. We got so many new people this week. People I never saw before this week. Even if you're a clown, you're welcome. You can be the clowniest of clowns. You're still welcome. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Going to wrap it up for us on this Friday and for this week. In a crazy week, a 4-show week. We finally got our 4-show weekend. I think this is the first one. Want to thank, of course, Larry Holder, our Friday friend, and Gabe Henderson behind the scenes. And we're enjoy that new house, buddy. Get out, make sure you got all the utilities going before you move in. Don't make sure they got the internet working. That's number one. Yeah, it's thumbs up. The internet's working. All right. We hope you can join us next on Monday, maybe when we hold our Mono E Monday. Mono E Monday is a big success. It is a big success. We will see you on Monday. Every day this show is live, every weekday, except for Tuesday, 11 a.m. Central Time. So if you're new, there you go. There's your heads up. And then, of course, you can always find it on demand. If you couldn't watch the show, you can watch it later on YouTube, on our YouTube page. Remember to subscribe. Give us a like. If you're watching right now on YouTube, just click the like button. That's all you got to do. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, many more. And you can find a replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. You can find all of Gabe's stuff, all of Tom Casale's stuff, and my picks of the week. They're in print. I can't take them back now. They're in print. Bet.NOLA.com, and our friends over on the other side of the aisle is Saints Insiders, our colleagues at NOLA.com/Saints. We will see you on Monday. Have a glorious weekend. Go Tigers. Roll Wave. And of course, who dat? Make Derry wrong again. Mono E Monday. Only a couple days away. Enjoy the game, y'all. See you Monday.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.